The Kreischer Mansion stands like a grim sentinel on its expansive grounds, its weathered façade telling tales of a tumultuous history. Built in 1885 by Balthazar Kreischer, the mansion was intended to be a family haven, but it soon became a stage for greed, betrayal, and death. As local lore goes, Balthazar passed away just a year after the mansion was completed, leaving behind two sons, Edward and Charles. What began as sibling rivalry morphed into a dark saga of animosity. Friends and neighbors watched as arguments turned vicious, fueled by jealousy and resentment over their father's estate. The tension culminated in a tragic event: Edward's mysterious death, which was ruled a suicide but whispered to be the result of a heated confrontation with Charles. Rumors of the family's curse spread like wildfire, and soon after, Charles and his wife met a horrific end in a fire that engulfed the mansion. With their deaths, the Kreischer legacy felt less like a family history and more like a cautionary tale steeped in sorrow. In the years that followed, those who dared to enter the mansion reported chilling encounters. The spirits of Edward and Charles were said to haunt the halls, locked in an eternal struggle, their anger and regret palpable. Visitors would feel sudden drops in temperature and hear the echoes of heated arguments reverberating through the corridors. One particularly chilling night, a group of paranormal investigators decided to explore the mansion, armed with cameras, EVP recorders, and an insatiable curiosity. As they stepped inside, the atmosphere felt heavy, a tangible weight of grief and resentment lingering in the air. "Do you feel that?" one investigator whispered, glancing around the grand yet decaying entrance hall. "It's like the house is alive with tension." The group moved cautiously through the mansion, entering the parlor where the family had once gathered. A faint, bitter laughter echoed in the corners, sending shivers down their spines. Edward and Charles, one investigator theorized. "They're still fighting." As they set up their equipment, the room suddenly chilled, and the faint smell of smoke filled the air. "That's strange," one said, frowning. "There shouldn't be any fire damage here." "Maybe it's residual energy from the fire," another suggested. "Let's see if we can make contact." With the EVP recorder rolling, they called out to the spirits. "Edward? Charles? If you're here, can you give us a sign?" After several moments of eerie silence, a sudden crash reverberated from the kitchen. The investigators exchanged startled glances before cautiously making their way toward the sound. In the kitchen, they found the pots and pans rattling on the shelves. "Could this be the spirit of the cook?" one suggested, recalling tales of a German cook who had once worked for the Kreischers and was believed to have perished in the mansion. "Let's see if we can communicate," another investigator said, holding up a spirit board. They placed their fingers on the planchette, calling out to the cook. "Are you here with us?" To their surprise, the planchette began to move, slowly spelling out F-I-R-E. "Fire? Is that how you died?" The investigator pressed, heart racing with the thrill of the encounter. The planchette slid across the board, pausing on YS. The group exchanged glances, their excitement tempered by the weight of the revelation. As they delved deeper into the mansion, they found themselves in the dimly lit basement, a space that felt thick with malevolence. It was here that Robert McKelvey, a mob associate, had met his brutal end. The chilling history of his murder hung in the air, as if the very walls were stained with his blood. "Can you imagine what happened here?" one investigator mused, their voice barely above a whisper. "It's a nightmare." As they began to set up their equipment again, a shadow flickered in the corner of the room, drawing their attention. A figure emerged, tall and ominous, its face obscured by darkness. The atmosphere thickened with tension, and the group felt a primal urge to flee. "Is someone there?" the brave investigator called out, trying to remain steady. The figure seemed to shift, its presence heavy with rage. "Get out," it growled, a voice that felt like ice running through their veins. Robert McKelvey, another investigator, murmured, recognizing the name from the stories. "He's still here, trapped by his violent end." Suddenly, the air turned frigid, and the lights flickered violently. The investigator's breath came in rapid gasps, and panic surged through the group. "We need to leave," one shouted, but the door slammed shut, trapping them inside. "Stay calm," the brave investigator urged, trying to steady their racing heart. "We need to reach out to him. Maybe we can help him find peace." With trembling hands, they held up the EVP recorder and called out to McKelvey. "Robert, we know what happened to you. You don't have to be trapped here. Let us help you." The room grew eerily silent, the air thick with anticipation. Then the shadowy figure began to shift, its form becoming clearer. "They took everything from me," it hissed, resentment pouring from its voice. "I will not be forgotten." "You're not forgotten," the investigator replied, their voice steady despite the fear clawing at their insides. "But you can find peace. You have to let go of your anger." For a moment, it felt as if time stood still. The darkness around McKelvey flickered, a glimmer of recognition in his eyes. "Let go?" he echoed, confusion mingling with pain. "Yes," the investigator said, their heart aching for the tortured spirit. "We understand your pain. You don't have to carry it alone. Let us help you move on." As they spoke, the room began to vibrate with energy, and the figure's form wavered. The oppressive air lightened, and for the first time, there was a sense of hope. "Please," the brave investigator urged, stepping forward. "Find the light. Join those who love you. You deserve peace." With a final shudder, McKelvey's figure flickered, and the darkness that had clung to him began to dissolve. The investigators watched in awe as he released his hold on the past, a sense of relief washing over the room. I can go?" he whispered, and with that, the shadows around him burst into a radiant light. In an instant, the basement filled with warmth and brightness, illuminating every corner. McKelvey's form faded into the light, his final words a gentle echo, "Thank you." As the light dimmed, the investigators felt a profound sense of peace settling in the room. The air had shifted, and the oppressive weight of grief seemed to lift, replaced by a soft, comforting energy. Breathless, they regrouped, hearts racing but filled with a newfound sense of accomplishment. "We did it," one of them whispered, disbelief mingling with joy. "We helped him." As they made their way back through the mansion, they noticed that the once oppressive atmosphere had transformed. The whispers of the past were still present, but now they felt like echoes of history, less haunting and more reflective. When they stepped outside, the cool night air felt invigorating. They gathered in front of the Kreischer Mansion, the moonlight casting a serene glow on its façade. It was no longer just a site of tragedy, but a place of healing, where spirits could finally find their rest. "Let's document everything," the brave investigator said, a fire of determination sparking in their eyes. "This mansion holds so many stories, and it's time they were told." With a shared sense of purpose, they drove away from the Kreischer Mansion, knowing that their journey into the past had not only uncovered the dark secrets of the Kreischer family, but had also shed light on the importance of forgiveness and letting go. As they headed into the night, they felt an unbreakable bond, one forged in the spirit world, and a deep commitment to honor those who had suffered and to share their stories with the world. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story. As the investigators drove away from the Kreischer Mansion, the weight of their experiences lingered in the air, mingling with a newfound sense of purpose. They felt compelled to dive deeper into the mansion's rich yet tragic history, knowing that there were still many layers to uncover. "Let's start with the local archives," one suggested, pulling out their phone to check for nearby historical societies or libraries. "There might be more records about the Kreischers, especially about what happened to the children." "I'm curious about the German cook too," another chimed in. "If she's still here, she might have her own story to tell." Excited by the prospect of uncovering more secrets, they made their way to the nearest historical society, a small building nestled among a cluster of shops. The scent of old paper and leather greeted them as they stepped inside, and they were soon surrounded by shelves filled with dusty books and faded photographs. The staff was eager to help, guiding them to a section dedicated to local history. The Kreischer family was prominent in the area, one librarian explained, her fingers tracing the spines of ancient tomes. "But their history is marred by tragedy. If you're looking for details, you might find the newspaper archives particularly revealing." After hours of digging through stacks of articles and family records, the investigators uncovered a wealth of information. They learned about the lavish parties held in the mansion, the laughter of children echoing through its halls, and the tragic decline that followed Balthazar's death. They found references to Edward and Charles's escalating feud, as well as the community's growing unease with the family's misfortunes. But it was an article that detailed the fire that claimed Charles and his wife's lives that caught their attention the most. "This doesn't sound like an accident," one investigator murmured, reading aloud. It describes how neighbors reported seeing strange lights and hearing what sounded like arguing before the fire broke out. Some even claimed they saw a figure running away from the scene. Could it be connected to their feud? Another suggested, the pieces of the family's dark legacy falling into place. Maybe someone wanted revenge or to settle the score once and for all. With this new angle, they spent hours gathering information, piecing together a timeline of events that painted a vivid, if tragic, picture of the Kreischer family's downfall. They learned about the infighting, the jealousy, and the deep-rooted grudges that had festered over the years. Each revelation fueled their determination to return to the mansion, to see if they could make contact with more spirits and help them find peace. As dusk fell, they decided to return to the Kreischer Mansion one last time. They arrived just as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the lawn. The mansion loomed before them, its windows dark and foreboding, but they felt a sense of empowerment from the knowledge they had gained. Once inside, the atmosphere felt different. The air was thick with anticipation, and they could sense the presence of spirits lingering nearby. They set up their equipment in the parlor once more, ready to communicate with whatever energies remained. "Let's reach out to the cook first," the brave investigator suggested. "Maybe she has unfinished business here, too." With the EVP recorder rolling, they called out to the spirit of the cook. "If you're here, please make your presence known." The temperature dropped, and a faint whisper echoed through the room. "Help me. Can you tell us your name?" one investigator asked, trying to maintain a calm demeanor. The planchette on the spirit board began to move, spelling out Helena. "Helena," the investigator repeated softly. "What happened to you?" The planchette continued to glide across the board, forming words with deliberate slowness. "Firesomeonehurt, me." Their hearts raced as they processed the implications. "Helena, we're here to help you find peace. You don't have to be trapped anymore." A chill swept through the room, and a shadow flickered near the fireplace. "Fire," Helena's voice echoed again, more insistent this time. "Brotherhenvy." The investigators exchanged glances, understanding dawning. "Are you saying Charles hurt you? Was he responsible for your death?" "Yes," the planchette moved quickly now, almost frantically. "HIDETHETRUTH. Helena, what truth do you want us to uncover?" the brave investigator urged, feeling a surge of compassion for the spirit trapped in torment. "CHILDREN. Her voice trailed off, filled with anguish. "Children," the investigator echoed. "What happened to the children?" The room grew colder, and a heavy silence enveloped them. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and they felt a rush of air sweep through the room, as if a door had swung open. "LEAVE," Helena whispered urgently. "BEFOREITCOMES. Before what comes?" the brave investigator asked, urgency creeping into their voice. "What are you warning us about?" Before Helena could respond, a deafening crash echoed from the upper floors, causing the investigators to jump back in shock. The mansion trembled as if it were alive, and the walls seemed to groan in protest. "We need to go," one shouted, fear creeping into their voice. "Wait," the brave investigator called out, gripping the table for support. "We can't leave yet. Helena needs us." "LEAVENOW," came the spirit's anguished cry, filling the room with desperation. The temperature plummeted, and the atmosphere became suffocating, as if a storm was brewing. Suddenly, They heard a loud thud from above, followed by a whisper that echoed through the halls. "I'm coming for you." Panic surged through the group, and they instinctively began to back away. But the brave investigator stood firm. "Helena, we will help you. Please, just give us a sign." The lights flickered violently, and they felt a rush of energy surge through the room. "Bearwitness." Helena's voice reverberated with a new intensity. Before they could react, the door to the parlor slammed shut, sealing them inside. The air grew thick, charged with a sense of impending danger, and the investigators felt their hearts racing. They had come seeking answers, but now they were confronted with a truth darker than they could have imagined. As the walls seemed to close in around them, the brave investigator shouted, "Helena, we'll help you find the truth. Just guide us." In that moment, the energy shifted, and a vision flashed before their eyes, a glimpse of a tragic past. They saw a young girl playing in the yard, laughter echoing through the halls, only to be overshadowed by the looming figure of Charles, jealousy burning in his eyes. "Help the children," Helena's voice pleaded once more, echoing in their minds. Before it's too late. Suddenly, the lights flickered out, plunging them into darkness. The investigators felt a rush of fear but also determination. They couldn't leave without uncovering the truth. With hearts pounding, they vowed to face whatever lay ahead, ready to uncover the hidden horrors of the Kreischer Mansion. In the pitch darkness of the Kreischer Mansion, the air crackled with tension as the investigators huddled together, their breaths coming in rapid bursts. They could feel the weight of Helena's plea pressing down on them, urging them to act. "Stay together," the brave investigator whispered, pulling out a flashlight and illuminating their surroundings. Shadows danced along the walls, and the sound of creaking floorboards echoed ominously. "We need to find out what happened to the children." With resolve, they moved through the mansion, retracing their steps toward the staircase that led to the upper floors. The atmosphere felt charged, electric with anticipation and fear. Each step echoed their determination to uncover the truth. As they ascended, the temperature dropped further, and a sense of urgency fueled their movements. The hallway above was dark and foreboding, and they quickly made their way to the first bedroom, a door slightly ajar. Inside, they discovered a room filled with antique toys, dusty and forgotten. "This must have been the children's room," one investigator said softly, a pang of sorrow washing over them. "Helena, are you here?" the brave investigator called out, hoping to connect with the spirit once more. "We want to help." A chill swept through the room, and the toys began to rattle softly, as if stirred by invisible hands. "Findthe, truth," came Helena's voice, faint but clear. "Where do we look?" another investigator asked, scanning the room for any clues. "What are we missing?" Suddenly, a small music box on a shelf began to play a haunting melody, the notes echoing softly in the silence. The group turned to it, entranced by the sound. "Look!" one shouted, pointing at the box. "There's a latch." They approached the music box, carefully inspecting it. The latch was hidden beneath the delicate carvings, and with a gentle tug, it clicked open. Inside, they found a folded piece of yellowed paper. "Open it," the brave investigator urged, and another investigator carefully unfolded the note, revealing a series of drawings depicting children playing in the yard, alongside ominous sketches of a fire. "This is it," one said, realization dawning. "This is evidence of the children's fear." As they examined the drawings, the lights flickered, and they felt the temperature drop again. "Helena, we see what you're trying to tell us," the brave investigator shouted. "You're warning us about the fire, but what caused it?" Before they could finish, the walls trembled, and they heard the same whisper echo through the hall. "I'm coming for you." Panic surged, but they pressed on, determined to find answers. "We need to get to the basement," the brave investigator declared, remembering the energy that had pulsed through the mansion before. There might be more clues down there. Rushing back down the stairs, they descended into the basement, the atmosphere thickening with dread. The shadows loomed larger, and the sense of being watched heightened. As they entered the basement, they noticed a large old trunk against the far wall. It seemed untouched, layers of dust coating its surface. Could this hold something important? One investigator wondered aloud. They approached the trunk cautiously and found it locked. Does anyone have a way to open this? The brave investigator asked, scanning their surroundings. Maybe we can force it open, another suggested, pulling out a tool. Before they could act, a loud bang echoed from behind them, and they turned to see the figure of Charles materialize, a shadow of anger etched across his face. "You shouldn't be here," he roared, the air thick with malevolence. "Charles, we're here to help," the brave investigator shouted, standing firm despite the fear coursing through them. "We know about your brother and we know about the fire. You can't keep this darkness alive." "Silence," he screamed, the room trembling with his fury. Suddenly, Helena's voice rang out, clear and strong. "You can't hide the truth forever, Charles." The figure of Charles faltered, momentarily caught off guard. "You think you can save them?" he spat, pointing towards the trunk. "They were lost the moment I chose greed over family. We can help you let go of this pain," the brave investigator urged, feeling a surge of strength. "You have to release your anger. You have to let them rest." With a roar, Charles lunged toward them, but Helena's spirit surged forward, a brilliant light enveloping the room. "The truth will set you free, Charles," she cried. "You can find peace." As the light intensified, Charles staggered back, his form wavering. "No, I won't let them go." The investigators took the opportunity to rush toward the trunk, and with a mighty shove, they forced it open. Inside, they discovered a collection of personal items, letters, photographs, and a diary belonging to Edward. "Read it," the brave investigator urged. They quickly pulled out the diary and flipped through the pages, revealing a heart-wrenching account of Edward's feelings of betrayal, guilt, and longing for reconciliation. Edward was trying to reach out to Charles before he died, one investigator realized. He wanted to mend their relationship. As they read aloud, the room trembled with emotion, and they could feel the tension between the brothers begin to dissipate. "It's not too late, Charles," the brave investigator called out. "You can honor your brother's memory." With each word spoken, the shadows around Charles began to flicker, and the anger in his eyes softened. I was so blinded by jealousy," he murmured, his voice cracking. "I never wanted this." "Then let it go," Helena urged, her spirit glowing with warmth. "Remember the love you once had as a family." As the light enveloped Charles, the darkness surrounding him began to fade. He looked at the trunk and the diary, realization dawning in his eyes. "I let my rage consume me." The energy in the room shifted, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted. "It's time to forgive," the brave investigator encouraged, feeling the tension dissolve. "Let go of your anger, Charles. Find peace." With a final shudder, Charles's figure flickered, and he glanced toward Helena, who smiled gently. "I'm sorry," he whispered, the words filled with sorrow. In that moment, the darkness shattered, and light filled the basement, illuminating every corner. Charles's form faded, and the investigators felt a profound sense of release wash over them. As the light dimmed, they were left in the hushed silence of the basement. The heavy weight of grief finally lifted. Breathless and shaken, they gathered themselves, knowing they had witnessed something profound. They had not only helped Helena but had also facilitated the redemption of Charles, releasing the spirits that had been trapped in their pain. As they made their way back upstairs, the air felt lighter, almost joyful. The haunting atmosphere had transformed into one of warmth and peace, and the mansion, once filled with sorrow, seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. Stepping outside, they took a moment to appreciate the moonlit sky, knowing they had uncovered the truth and helped heal the wounds of the past. They had come seeking answers, and they had found a connection, one that transcended time and grief. "We need to document everything," the brave investigator said, a sense of resolve returning. "This mansion holds so many stories, and it's time to share them." With the weight of their experiences behind them, they drove away from the Kreischer Mansion, ready to tell the tale of redemption love, and the enduring power of forgiveness. They knew this journey would lead them to even more haunted places, each with its own story waiting to be uncovered, and they were eager to embrace the adventure ahead. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story.